Hey, welcome back. This is Danny Morel with Real Estate Sales TV. Really excited to spend the next couple of moments with you where we're going to continue our conversation about the 7 steps necessary to build a successful real estate business. And today we're going to talk about step number 5, which is the numbers needed to know your business. So get ready, grab a pen, and as always, grab a piece of paper or a notebook because you're going to learn a lot. All right, so here we go. Just a quick, brief review. Hopefully, by now, you have gotten the importance of these videos. Step number 1, I think was the most inspiring, and I got the most messages from this video, which was decide to live by faith versus fear. Step number 2 is you got to decide what you want. Step number 3, you got to put a plan into place. Step number 4, you've got to decide to take massive action. And step number 5, and this one should be a pretty quick video because what I'm going to talk to you about today is the numbers necessary or the numbers that you need to know when you're building a real estate business, okay? Now, what I first want to do is I want to kind of share a story with all of you about my life and my career in business. I had spent 3 years selling real estate. And at the time, I was stuck doing about, I believe it was 40 sales a year, something along those lines. Problem was that I was working 7 days a week. And so I decided that I needed some help. And so I went out and I found a coach. And one of the things that I learned is that I was working 80% of my time and 80% of my business was coming from buyer sales and 20% was coming from listing sales. And the one thing that I learned very quickly was that if I ever wanted to change my life and if I ever wanted to sell more homes in less times, that I needed to make a shift. Buyers are easier to work with because for the most part, all you do is you put them in your car, drive them around, open the door, they say, I like it, and you write up the contract, right? Listings is a whole different ballgame, okay? And we're gonna be doing more videos to share with you some tips, techniques, and some tricks of the trade to help you get and acquire more listings. But the one thing I want to share with you that I learned that changed my life forever is that if you ever wanna build a profitable, duplicatable, and long-lasting business, then there are 2 types of people that you need to choose from that actually practice this business. Like my good coach and my great coach Mike Ferry says, the employer and the employee. And in our business, the listing agent is the employer and the buyer's agent is the employee. I don't know about you, but if you've had any job in corporate America, you know that the employer typically has a little bit more leverage. And that's where the thought of you selling more houses in less time comes from, is from you getting leverage. And you get leverage by acquiring listings. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to share with you the numbers that are necessary in order for you to have proper leverage and in order for you to truly understand how to get more listings and what happens whenever you take some steps or whenever you do some sort of activity. So the first one you need to know is hours prospected. Hours prospected, okay? And I absolutely love talking about prospecting. And here's why. For some strange reason, that's a hot topic. And for some strange reason, people don't like that topic. But I'll tell you the honest to God truth, and I'll share with you 2 examples. The first was myself. I used to get up, get in the office by 7 o'clock in the morning, get my leads ready, get on the phones by 8:15, not stop till 12 o'clock, and then I would walk out of the office for my first break, and everyone would just be showing up to the office, and they wondered why I outproduced everyone in my office 10 to 1. I prospected on a daily basis, every single day. Think about that for a second. Every business prospects. Every business does something to generate leads and to generate interest, right? Okay, great. Second thing is here in my office. We have about 65, 70 agents now in our company, and we are outproducing most offices here locally. I'll tell you why. Because we focus on teaching and training our agents how to take listings. Agents that are actually producing more than the ones that don't. Listen, I get it. You can put an ad on Zillow, you can put an ad on Yelp, you can put ads everywhere and sit and pray and wait for the phone to ring, or you can actually make something happen. And I know that that's not a popular statement to say, but it is, unfortunately or fortunately, however way you want to look at it, the honest to God truth. You gotta prospect, guys, if you want to do great in this business. So step number one, you need to focus on and you need to know how many hours you're prospecting, okay? Typically, if you're just getting started, start off with an hour a day, then bump it up to 2 hours, and then eventually you want to be doing 3 or more hours a day of prospecting. Number 2, contacts made. Contacts made. You want to understand and you want to know, typically on average, how many people are you speaking to on an hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, and quarterly basis. Give you a perfect example. One of our great agents here at the office, Travis Arsenault, and if you follow Real Estate Sales TV, you'll know his story, because he went from selling literally no houses in 1 year to the next year, after applying everything we've done and we've taught him, he closed 40 deals. I mean, it was absolutely phenomenal, okay? So Travis one day is tracking his numbers, so he's out door knocking, prospecting, and we start noticing in our coaching appointment, we start noticing that Travis is only speaking to about 4 people every 2 hours. And I said, Travis, wait a minute, something is wrong here. What are you doing? What's going on? Give me specifics as to what happens when you're out there prospecting. He says, well, it's simple. I'm out there, I'm door knocking, and all of a sudden, I get a phone call from one of my clients. I stop everything, and I start a conversation with them. And there was a problem. We realized that his contacts made to hours prospected ratio wasn't necessarily high enough. On average, you should be making right about 10 contacts an hour, okay? So those are the first 2, hours prospected to contacts made. And you need to understand the ratios. How do you do that? You take the amount of contacts you've made, you divide them by the hours of prospected and vice versa, and you can understand and start to get an idea of, over a quarterly and yearly basis, how many contacts you make per hour. Number 3, listing appointments gone on. Listing appointments gone on. This is very important, and I can't talk about this one without number 4, listings taken. Listings taken. I remember being so frustrated as an agent when I first decided to go out there and take listings. And the reason why I was so frustrated is because I started to quickly understand that it truly does take the ability to communicate effectively and the ability to be a great salesperson in order to take a lot of listings. What was happening was I started going on a lot of appointments. However, the sellers would always tell me something like, you know what, we like you, but we're going to call you back, so just wait for our phone call. And I would be all excited, right? Like, oh my God, they said they liked me, and that must mean that they're going to do lists with me, right? And I got a question for you. Guess what percentage of the people actually called me back? None. They never call you back. I'm going to call you back in real estate typically means you're not getting the listing. So I started noticing that I would go on 10 appointments and take 1 listing. Guys, your goal should be to take about 80% of the listings that you go on. That should be your goal, okay? And I was taking 10%. And that got me frustrated. And that led me to start taking role-playing and script work and neuro-linguistic programming and doing all of this stuff and getting more serious about it. Why? Because by the end of my career, I was taking 80 to 90% of the appointments that I went on, okay? So you need to know this stuff, guys. You need to know this stuff on a weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly basis. Now, here's a number that most people never really think of, and I want to share it with you. To me, I think it's the most important one. Listings taken to deals closed. Listings taken to deals closed. Okay, again, I know a lot of you work with buyers. Follow me here for a second. If you want a long-term, profitable, and duplicatable business, you're going to have to learn how to take some listings. And essentially, your goal should be that for every listing you take, you close a deal. Okay? For every listing you take, you close a deal. If you work with more buyers than usual, then the number will be higher than 1. For example, you take 10 listings, you close 10 deals for the year, whatever the case may be. If you work with more buyers than normal, then the number might be, for example, 1.25. If you work with less buyers, then the number will be closer to 1. If you take 10 listings and only 9 of them close, then essentially the number is 0.9. You get the picture? And that's how you start to develop a plan. Because if you can get that number, for example, close to 1, for every deal that you close or for every listing that you take means a deal closed, now you can do some damage. Because now you can move on to step number 5. And I've already talked to you, step number 6. And I've already spoken with you in detail about it. Step number 6 is you gotta make adjustments, guys. You gotta make adjustments based off the numbers. Now, once you have this information, now what you can do is you can start to make some adjustments. And that is step number 6, is make adjustments based on the numbers. That is when you truly become a business person, when you can use these numbers to make adjustments and prepare yourself to do better in your business. I already gave you one example. I gave you the example of my buddy Travis, where we realized that he wasn't making enough contacts for every hour that he prospected. He made the adjustments and literally tripled his business in the next 2 quarters because it took him 1 quarter to kind of build the momentum. I'll give you another example. Another example is a good friend of mine by the name of Gabriel Bolaños. And Gabriel, we started realizing that, second year in the business, first year closed 30 deals, second year is going to close about 30 to 40 deals, second year in the business, but the best part is it'll be 70% listings taken. That means more time, more deals, less money, okay? We started working in detail and tracking his numbers, and we started noticing that the first 2 quarters of the year, he was going on a lot of appointments, but he wasn't taking a lot of listings. And I know Gabriel, so I was able to coach him through this. And one of the things that we started realizing was that he wasn't closing hard enough on the appointment. It's the same problem that I was having. Guess what happened? He started focusing on that. He made an adjustment based off the numbers. And in essence, by the next quarter, his listings taken quadrupled, everybody. A lot of you are going on, or you may be going on a lot of appointments, but you're not being effective while you're on the appointment. So in recap, step number 5 is know the numbers. This is just a small portion of the numbers that, for example, I keep track of. If you want more, go ahead and just shoot me a message through Facebook or through Real Estate Sales TV, which is our YouTube channel. But for the most part, if you're not used to this stuff, you at least want to know these 4. Step number 6 is make adjustments based off the numbers, okay? Because when you're able to do those 2 things, listen, step number 1, decide to live by faith versus fear. That's up here. Step number 2, decide what you want. That's up here. Step number 3, decide to make a plan, right? Step number 4, take massive action. Step number 5 and 6, you become a business person. And as a business person, my friends, that's where you differentiate yourself from 80% of the competition. Because most people in our industry are honestly not looking at this thing like a business, and they're treating it like a hobby. And they're just winging it, hoping to get a deal. If you can master these numbers, if you can make adjustments based off your numbers, then you'll have a true business. And going into every single year, you will know exactly what it's going to take you to take a listing, exactly what it's going to take you to open a sale, and exactly what it's going to take you to close a deal. As always, I hope this was an informational video. I hope it was an eye-opener. If you have any questions, please just go ahead and place them below the video, or go ahead and message me. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Real Estate Sales TV. And as always, guys, I hope you're thinking big, acting big, and expecting to receive big in your life. We'll see you next week, Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Bye-bye.